What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for Anime Uproar, and in this video I will be breaking down the true power and ultimate master plan of Marshall D. Teach, also known as Blackbeard. Blackbeard is a former member of Whitebeard's crew, a former warlord, and one of the current Emperors of the Sea. He is also the only known character to ever possess two devil fruits at the same time. And in his pirating career, he has engaged in epic battles against Whitebeard, Shanks, Ace, the Revolutionaries, CP0, and many others. Blackbeard is clearly an extremely dangerous man whose ultimate plan goes far beyond just becoming the Pirate King. And the main thing that makes him so dangerous is not the fact that he possesses two overpowered devil fruits, it's something else entirely, so let's talk about it. Before we get into it, quick thank you to Mech Arena for sponsoring this video. I freaking love mecha anime like Gurren Lagann, Code Geass, and Gundam. But beyond just watching, I always wonder what it would be like to actually operate a futuristic mecha in battle. With Mech Arena, I can now do that anytime I want from the comfort of my own smartphone. Mech Arena is a competitive 5v5 shooter where you actually need skill and strategy to win battles, not just money. And speaking of strategy, Mech Arena just released the amazing Pilots feature, featuring 12 unique pilots that you can choose from. Pilots add a whole new depth of strategy and gameplay variety, and you can customize your pilot skills to build pilots that fit your personality, your playstyle, and your mechs. Mech Arena's got a ton happening this month, including an awesome new mech, Orion, Battle Pass Season 8, where you can get some amazing new skins and a bunch of other goodies, and special events where you can win a brand new weapon, the super powerful Graviton Beam. Mech Arena is free to play on Android and iOS right now, and you can use my personal link or scan the QR code here on screen to get a free starter pack worth $25, including a Firelight skin, a Prodigy crate, and a Plasma Cannon 4 to help kickstart your game. Try it out for yourself. Click that link in the description to go download Mech Arena right now. My in-game ID is 40691139. Finally, this video will contain One Piece manga spoilers, so please proceed with caution. You have been warned. Blackbeard is not only one of the strongest and most dangerous characters in One Piece, but he is also one of the most mysterious. And this mystery goes all the way back to his early childhood. Marshall D. Teach was apparently an orphan who joined the Whitebeard Pirates at age 12, which was 28 years ago. This means that young Teach was about 2 years old during the infamous God Valley incident, but more on that later. Although we know almost nothing about Teach's earliest years, we do know that not long after he joined the Whitebeard Pirates, people started to notice that there was something strange about him. Some 2 years after Teach joined the Whitebeard Pirates, this legendary pirate crew engaged in an epic battle against another legendary pirate crew, the Roger Pirates. The fight lasted for 3 days and 3 nights, although it ultimately ended with the two crews squashing the beef and exchanging gifts. But during these 3 days, Shanks and Buggy encountered Teach for the very first time. Shanks and Buggy were themselves just kids back then, only a year younger than Teach, and they were part of Roger's crew. This is when Buggy noticed that Teach didn't sleep at all throughout the entire 3 days of the battle. And there was even a rumor going around that Teach has never slept a day in his entire life. This led Buggy to conclude that Teach must be some kind of monster, and this information gives further legitimacy to Marco's comments from chapter 577, where he states that Teach is not a normal human and that he has an odd body. This unexplained oddness to his body could be the reason why he is the only known human who was able to consume two devil fruits at once. And all of this sparked a flurry of theories about the true nature of Blackbeard's body and the mystery of his origins. I will get back to all of this later, but we still need to trace the evolution of Marshall D. Teach from a lonely orphan turned Whitebeard Pirates crew member to the ruthless Yonko known as Blackbeard. After joining the Whitebeard Pirates at the age of 12, Teach spent over 2 decades serving aboard the Moby Dick and carefully performing his duties as a member of the Whitebeard Pirates. He eventually became a member of the 2nd Division, and he actually went out of his way to avoid attention and notoriety. He even passed up a promotion to 2nd Division Commander because he claimed that he didn't have that kind of ambition. So he encouraged Ace to accept the position instead. But the truth was far more sinister, and Teach's entire decades-long stint as a member of the Whitebeard Pirates was just one part of his devious master plan. For his entire life, Teach had been looking for a very specific and very special devil fruit, the unique and overpowered Yami Yami no Mi. He joined the Whitebeard Pirates because he believed that serving on Whitebeard's crew would maximize his chances of encountering the Yami Yami no Mi. It took a long time, but Teach's intuition turned out to be true. The only problem was that he wasn't the one who found the Yami Yami no Mi. The one who found it was the 4th Division Commander, Thatch. Because the Whitebeard Pirates had a rule which stated that whoever finds a devil fruit has the right to eat it, Teach felt like he had no choice. He killed Thatch before he could eat the devil fruit, stole the Yami Yami no Mi for himself, and abandoned the Whitebeard Pirates. Marshal D. Teach then adopted the name Blackbeard and formed his own crew, the Blackbeard Pirates. According to Blackbeard, Thatch finding the Yami Yami no Mi was just bad luck for him because this fruit had already chosen Blackbeard and he was always destined to become its next user. Only a few months before the Straw Hats arrived on Drum Island, Blackbeard along with 4 other crewmates attacked the island and overthrew its ruler, King Wapol, who then fled the country. That is our first real introduction to Blackbeard in the story, although he and his crew only appear in silhouette form. At that time, his crew was composed of Lafitte, former sheriff from the West Blue who after being fired for excessive cruelty became Blackbeard's navigator, Jesus Burgess, the helmsman, Doc Q, the ship's doctor, and Van Auger, the sniper. Now, it's important to mention that back when Teach betrayed the Whitebeard Pirates, Ace made it his mission to hunt him down in order to avenge Thatch. Whitebeard warned Ace not to go, stating that he had a bad feeling about this one, but Ace just couldn't let it go. The Whitebeard Pirates were his family. Whitebeard was the only father that he ever knew, and so he couldn't let Blackbeard get away with his treason. As a result, Ace ventured out on a journey to find his former crewmate and bring him to justice. Following the defeat of Crocodile in Alabasta, Blackbeard's navigator Lafitte traveled to Marijua. He somehow managed to gain access to a meeting between Sengoku and other warlords, and he nominated Blackbeard as a replacement for Crocodile. But at this point in time, Blackbeard was still a nobody, so Lafitte was told that his captain would first need to grow his reputation as an infamous pirate before he could become a warlord of the sea. At the same time, the other members of the Blackbeard Pirates, including Blackbeard himself, were hanging out in Mocktown on Jaya. And that is where Blackbeard first comes face to face with Luffy. While eating cherry pie inside a tavern in Mocktown, Blackbeard and Luffy both yell out at the barkeep at the same time. But while Luffy says that the cherry pie is so bad that he could die, Blackbeard says just the opposite. The cherry pie is so good that he could die. This instantly creates a sense of tension between them, and this only escalates once they try their drinks. Blackbeard hates the drink while Luffy loves it, and before you know it, the two pirates have already become rivals. They start trying to one-up each other in terms of who will order more food to go, and their argument nearly breaks out into a fight before Nami intervenes. Blackbeard then asks Luffy whether he is a pirate, and Luffy confirms that he is and that his bounty is 30 million. Blackbeard refuses to believe this, and he even calls Luffy a liar. But before their conflict can progress any further, the barkeep gives Blackbeard his 50 cherry pies to go and sends him on his way. After Luffy, Zoro, and Nami are mocked, bullied, and laughed out of the tavern for believing that the Sky Island is real, Blackbeard actually praises them. He says that the new age of pirates that Bellamy and the others inside the tavern spoke of is rubbish. As you'll recall, Bellamy tried to argue that the Age of Dreams is over and that the pirates who believe in fairy tales like the Sky Island or the City of Gold are losers who are going to get themselves killed for nothing. But Blackbeard proclaims that the age of pirate dreams cannot be over because people's dreams don't ever end. Blackbeard then bids farewell to the Straw Hats, and he says that he hopes that they will make it to Sky Island. In my mind, this scene establishes Blackbeard as a truly fascinating character. In some ways, he is the polar opposite of Luffy, someone who has the opposite taste from Luffy, someone who uses completely different tactics than Luffy does, and someone who meticulously plans and schemes while Luffy just wings it as he goes. And yet, there is one thing that the two of them have in common. They both have big, crazy dreams that others mock as unrealistic, including the dream to one day become the Pirate King. Although I think that Blackbeard's dream is even bigger than that, and becoming the Pirate King is just another stepping stone for his true ultimate goal, but more on that later. Interestingly enough, as Nami, Luffy, and Zoro part ways with Blackbeard, both Luffy and Zoro state that Blackbeard is not just one guy. Some have interpreted this as Luffy and Zoro being aware that Blackbeard's other crewmates are also there in Mocktown, but others believe that Luffy and Zoro sensed that there are multiple people within Blackbeard's body. A theory that I will explain later on when we get into the strange properties of Blackbeard's powers and abilities. When they first met in Mocktown, Blackbeard wasn't aware of the fact that Luffy's new post-Alabasta bounty was actually 100 million berries. When he learns that this is the case, Blackbeard decides to capture Luffy and claim his bounty in order to make a name for himself, which would of course clear the path for him becoming a warlord. Blackbeard does manage to catch up to the Straw Hats off the coast of Jaya, but he loses them after the Going Merry gets caught in the knock-up stream. The knock-up stream also damages Blackbeard's ship, and so Blackbeard chooses to end his pursuit because he is sure that he and Luffy will meet again on the Grand Line. Blackbeard made the decision to pursue the Straw Hats once again after the events of NS Lobby, when Luffy's bounty shot all the way up to 300 million berries. However, before he can go after Luffy, he is stopped by Ace, who finally manages to track down Blackbeard on Banero Island in chapter 440 of the manga. Blackbeard actually tries to convince Ace to join his crew so that together they could take over the world, starting with taking out Luffy at Water 7. But Ace reveals that Luffy is his brother and that he would never join Blackbeard. Members of Blackbeard's crew then attack Ace, but they get wrecked so hard that Blackbeard warns them to stay away because they are not on Ace's level. This shows us that despite being extremely ruthless in the pursuit of his dream, Blackbeard does value his crewmates and he doesn't think of them as completely disposable. Although it is possible that he only values them because he needs their help in order to achieve his dream. Blackbeard then reveals the true nature of his devil fruit for the very first time. Just as Ace's body is made of fire because he consumed the Mera Mera no Mi, thanks to the Yami Yami no Mi, Blackbeard's body is made of darkness. And according to Blackbeard, even among the extremely rare Logia devil fruits, his fruit is a rarity. In fact, Blackbeard claims that this is the most dangerous power in the history of devil fruits. Suddenly, dark tendrils begin shooting out from beneath Blackbeard, and they eventually engulf the entire town. Blackbeard explains that darkness is gravity, and his darkness has the ability to suck everything in, including light itself. Blackbeard then activates an ability called Black Hole, and the whole town, including entire buildings, is sucked into Blackbeard's darkness. He explains that his dark gravity compresses objects with infinite power and crushes them. He then activates an ability called Liberation, which shoots out the town back out of the darkness, but the town is now in ruins. The large houses and buildings are now nothing but piles of rubble. Blackbeard has utterly destroyed an entire town in mere seconds. This grandiose display was clearly intended to intimidate Ace, but it doesn't work. Ace simply commences his fiery attack on Blackbeard, and it is clear from the start that Ace's fire is successfully hurting Blackbeard. This surprises Ace because physical attacks of this type should not be able to hurt a Logia user. But Blackbeard explains that his darkness sucks everything in, including punches, blades, bullets, and lightning. This means that Blackbeard can't just turn his body into darkness and allow attacks to pass through him like other Logia users. Instead, all attacks are absorbed by his darkness, and he will feel the pain from those attacks. Worse yet, the pain of every attack will actually be amplified. It is a grave and painful sacrifice, but in exchange, Blackbeard can use Black Vortex, an ability which allows him to pull in the actual body of Devil Fruit users. And then, once Blackbeard is directly touching the body of a Devil Fruit user, his darkness can actually negate the power of that user's Devil Fruit. This means that while he is touching Ace, Blackbeard can punch him and deal other types of physical damage to him because Ace cannot turn his body into fire. Simply put, while Blackbeard is directly touching their bodies, Devil Fruit users will lose the ability to use their Devil Fruit powers. So Blackbeard can essentially turn even the strongest Devil Fruit user into a normal human being. Ace tries to avoid this predicament by making sure that Blackbeard doesn't get close enough to actually touch him, but Black Vortex is extremely difficult to avoid since it's basically an all-encompassing dark gravity. Ace fights bravely and valiantly, and he puts Blackbeard through a lot of searing pain with his fiery attacks. Ace's fighting capability is so impressive, both with and without his Devil Fruit powers, that Blackbeard offers him yet another chance to join him, but Ace refuses to bow down to a traitor. He refuses to live his life dishonorably and full of regrets. Ever the realist, Blackbeard says that nothing else matters if you're dead, so avoiding death is the most important thing. Soon, the duel between the fiery sun and the all-encompassing darkness engulfs all of Bonaro Island, and this duel ultimately serves as a trigger for major world-shaking events that follow. The actual outcome of the battle is not shown on screen, but we later learn that Blackbeard defeated Ace and delivered him to the Marines in exchange for being named a Warlord of the Sea, which, as we know, is a title that he has been trying to secure since Jaya. But just like practically every other move in his life, Blackbeard's acquiring of the position of Warlord was simply a means to an end. It was just one piece in the much bigger puzzle that is his ultimate master plan. As Ace awaits his execution at Marineford, and as the Marines prepare for war with the Whitebeard pirates who are determined to rescue Ace, Blackbeard uses his status as a warlord and an ally of the world government to break into Impel Down. Once there, he releases and recruits some of the world's most powerful and most dangerous criminals into his crew, including Shiryu, Katarina Devon, Vasco Shot, San Juan Wolf, and Avalo Pizarro. Now stronger than ever before, the Blackbeard pirates sail to Marineford in order to initiate the next phase of Blackbeard's master plan. And of course, the Blackbeard pirates don't go to Marineford to uphold their responsibility as allies of the world government, nor do they go to support the Whitebeard pirates. In fact, in chapter 576, Blackbeard straight up tells Sengoku that the only reason why he became a warlord in the first place was so that he could open the gates of justice and infiltrate Impel Down without raising suspicion. This is what he had been planning from the beginning. And now that his mission has been accomplished, he no longer needed the title Warlord. As we find out soon enough, the reason for Blackbeard's presence at Marineford, despite already accomplishing one major part of his plan at Impel Down, is to accomplish yet another even more important part of his plan. But before we get into that, we really have to stop and consider just how cold and calculating Blackbeard is. At this point in the story, he had been making moves to become a warlord for over 300 chapters, since all the way back in Jaya. And yet, it was all just a means to an end. It was all just so he could spend an hour or two infiltrating Impel Down and boosting his crew with some of the world's most dangerous criminals. After that, his career as a warlord was over, and the very next moment it was on to the next phase of his master plan. This man is an absolute menace, and not just because of his crazy physical powers, but also because of his incredibly sharp and ruthlessly Machiavellian mind. Blackbeard and his crew then choose an opportune time to launch a coordinated strike on Whitebeard, the man who possesses one of the world's strongest devil fruits. At this point, Whitebeard is already severely injured and on the brink of death. So Blackbeard sees this as the perfect time to strike. He uses his darkness to cancel out the effects of the Gura Gura no Mi, Whitebeard's powerful earthquake-inducing devil fruit. The Gura Gura no Mi is believed to be the strongest paramecia devil fruit in existence, and it is said to be so powerful that it can destroy the entire world. The user of this devil fruit can create massive shockwaves and tremors that can pass through anything, including the ground, the sea floor, and even the air. Now confident of his victory, Blackbeard begins to use some Tak no Jutsu, which is one of his rare weaknesses. Instead of just focusing on finishing the fight as quickly and effectively as possible, Blackbeard likes to talk during his battles, and he likes to brag and talk down to his opponent. This loss of focus can come back to haunt him, as it does during his confrontation with Whitebeard. Blackbeard says that he respected Whitebeard and looked up to him, but he got old and he became weak. He couldn't even save one of his division commanders from being publicly executed by the Marines. And so the era of Whitebeard has come to an end, and the new era of Blackbeard is about to begin. But as Blackbeard attacks his former captain with Black Vortex, all the while bragging about the fact that Whitebeard can't use his devil fruit, Whitebeard just slashes Blackbeard's shoulder with his physical weapon, the Murakumo Giri. Blackbeard is shocked that Whitebeard still has the physical strength to fight after sustaining all of those injuries. And a fierce Whitebeard proclaims that overconfidence and carelessness are Blackbeard's weaknesses. Now, I would certainly agree with the part about overconfidence, especially during battles, and I also agree that this overconfidence does lead Blackbeard to become more careless than he should be, again, during battles. However, I think that overall, Blackbeard is anything but careless. He is a cold and calculating schemer and strategist of the highest quality, and he carefully bides his time for years and even decades before making his move. Whitebeard then grabs Blackbeard by the throat as Blackbeard cries and pleads for his life, calling Whitebeard Pops and saying that he's Whitebeard's son. Many have pointed to this moment as evidence that Blackbeard is actually a coward who is afraid to die. However, this could just be yet another case of Blackbeard being strategic and Machiavellian. He knows that for Whitebeard, family is the single most important thing. And so, by appealing to the idea that he is Whitebeard's son, Blackbeard is doing the one thing that is most likely to preserve his own life by getting Whitebeard to show him mercy. Whitebeard ultimately goes on to slam Blackbeard into the ground while sending a tremor through his body, but Blackbeard survives. Blackbeard then orders his men to attack Whitebeard with everything they've got, and all the Blackbeard pirates proceed to shoot and stab Whitebeard at the same time. Blackbeard feels no shame about the fact that he couldn't even defeat an injured Whitebeard one-on-one, and that he had to rely on his entire crew to take him out. Again, what matters to Blackbeard is not honor or pride. The only thing that matters is the end game, and he is prepared to do whatever it takes, no matter how shady and dishonorable, as long as it leads him to that desired result. As Whitebeard dies proudly and on his feet, he tells Blackbeard that despite being a member of the D-Clan, he is not the man that Roger was waiting for. He also says that the One Piece is indeed real, and when it is found, the whole world will be turned upside down. Whitebeard then dies in what has to be one of the most glorious and epic deaths in the history of anime and manga. But while I could talk all day about the extreme chadliness of Whitebeard, that is a topic for another video, and we need to get back to Blackbeard. The Blackbeard pirates then proceed to place a giant piece of black cloth over Whitebeard's dead body, and Blackbeard goes under the cloth while the other crewmates keep the Marines at bay. Once he emerges from beneath the cloth, Blackbeard and Whitebeard's bodies don't look any different. But Blackbeard is suddenly able to use not only his own devil fruit, the Yami Yami no Mi, but he is also able to use Whitebeard's old devil fruit, the Gura Gura no Mi, at the same time. It still hasn't been explained how exactly he was able to become the first person in history who was able to use two different devil fruits. But Blackbeard seems to imply that this is due to the unique power of the Yami Yami no Mi. Now in possession of the strongest Paramecia Devil Fruit and the strongest Logia Devil Fruit, Blackbeard declares that his era begins. There are many theories for how exactly Blackbeard was able to obtain a second Devil Fruit. Some believe that Blackbeard brought a regular fruit with him under that black cloth. He waited for Whitebeard's Devil Fruit to be reincarnated as the nearest suitable fruit, which is the fruit that Blackbeard brought with him, and then Blackbeard somehow managed to use the Yami Yami no Mi, which absorbs everything, to absorb the new Gura Gura no Mi. But even if his darkness was able to absorb the Gura Gura no Mi, how is Blackbeard's body able to handle using two Devil Fruits at the same time? Why is his body so odd, as Marco puts it? And is this oddness really the reason why he became the only known man to ever use two Devil Fruits at once? There are numerous popular theories about the true nature of Blackbeard's body, why he doesn't seem to need any sleep, and why he is able to use two Devil Fruits at once. The most popular theory is that Blackbeard is not just one person, but rather two or even three people who are somehow sharing the same body. This could be a case of Blackbeard having split personality disorder, and so when one personality is asleep, another one awakens, which is why Blackbeard himself never seems to sleep. This could also explain why back in Mocktown, Luffy and Zoro seemed to suggest that Blackbeard was not just one guy. And it could explain how Blackbeard was able to fool the Whitebeard pirates for so long. Maybe one of his personalities really was genuinely loyal to the Whitebeard pirates, and that personality really didn't have any diabolical ambitions. But once the Yami Yami no Mi appeared, Blackbeard's more sinister personality took over. And if Blackbeard harbors multiple personalities inside of him, then maybe that is how he is able to use more than one Devil Fruit. Maybe each Devil Fruit is somehow being used by a separate personality. It has been suggested that there may actually be 3 different personalities within Blackbeard, and that is why his Jolly Roger features 3 different skulls, one beside the other. Another theory is that we are not talking about multiple personalities within one person, but rather we have a case of multiple real people, or at least multiple souls, residing within Blackbeard's body. According to this theory, Blackbeard has the ability to absorb the souls of other people, and there could already be multiple souls trapped inside of him. Although slightly different, the implications of this theory are similar to the implications of the split personality theory. Blackbeard doesn't sleep because the souls inside of him take turns sleeping. He can use multiple Devil Fruits because each soul uses a separate fruit, and so on. And then there's the simplest theory, which is that Blackbeard isn't multiple people, but the Yami Yami no Mi itself just changed his body and made it odd in the first place. This wouldn't explain why he didn't sleep when he was younger, before he ever ate the Yami Yami no Mi, but perhaps he just didn't sleep during battles because he didn't want to get caught off guard by the enemy, and this then turned into an inaccurate rumor that he never sleeps at all. There is even a theory that the Yami Yami no Mi is not actually a special Logia. Rather, it is secretly a mythical zone, but Blackbeard chooses to keep this information hidden in order to maintain the advantage over his opponents. We made an entire video about this Blackbeard mythical zone theory, and if you want to check it out, I will link it down in the description. Okay, so regardless of how exactly Blackbeard was able to consume a second Devil Fruit, the act of absorbing the Gura Gura no Mi emboldened him, and he decided to use it to sink all of Marineford. But before he could do this, Sengoku appeared in his Buddha form and managed to prevent Blackbeard from sinking the entire island. Blackbeard acknowledges that he still isn't able to fully control the power of the Gura Gura no Mi, but he remains cocky, and he tells Sengoku and Garp that they have become obsolete, just like Whitebeard. Blackbeard declares that no one can stop him because he will destroy everything. He will swallow up everything. But once Yonko Shanks and the red-haired pirates arrive at Marineford, Blackbeard decides that he already has what he wants, and this is not yet the time for him to fight Shanks. So the Blackbeard pirates depart as the paramount war of Marineford finally comes to an end. Speaking of Shanks, He seems to know Blackbeard's true nature better than anyone. Shanks has been warning about the danger that Blackbeard poses to the world for a long time, and he had cautioned Whitebeard about Blackbeard on multiple occasions. Shanks also has a history with Blackbeard. Not only did the two of them meet as children during that battle between the Roger Pirates and the Whitebeard Pirates, but at some point before the start of the series, Shanks and Blackbeard fought as adults, and that scar over Shanks' left eye was given to him by none other than Blackbeard himself. Shanks seems to believe that Blackbeard represents the single biggest threat to the world of One Piece. And the fact that an overpowered Yonko like Shanks worries so much about him speaks volumes about the true extent of Blackbeard's power. After the events at Marineford, the Blackbeard Pirates start making moves in the New World. At some point, they defeated and captured Jewelry Bonnie, a pirate captain in her own right and a member of the worst generation. Blackbeard tells a tied-up Bonnie that she is too weak to lead her own crew in the New World, and that she is too weak to join his crew. But if she wanted to become his woman, he would oblige her. Say what you want about this man, but he does have taste. Bonnie refuses, of course, and kicks Blackbeard in the head. Meanwhile, since Bonnie is a wanted pirate captain, Blackbeard was planning to trade her to the Marines in exchange for a new battleship, because the raft belonging to the Blackbeard Pirates was nearly destroyed by the sheer size of San Juan Wolf. However, Van Augur informs Blackbeard that Akainu is aboard the Marine battleship, which means that the Marines are not interested in trading with the Blackbeard Pirates. Rather, Akainu is almost certainly planning to destroy them. Ever the realist, Blackbeard knows that he is not yet ready for that fight, so he flees along with his crew, leaving Bonnie behind. This once again shows us that things like honor and glory mean nothing to Blackbeard. His priority is to survive and to accomplish his mission, and he doesn't see any shame in running away when the circumstances call for it. But Blackbeard would continue to advance his goals in the New World, and about a year after the Marineford War, so during the time skip, the Blackbeard Pirates defeated the remnants of the Whitebeard Pirates under the command of Marco and took control of Whitebeard's former territory. In order to accomplish this task, Blackbeard used his intimate knowledge of the Whitebeard Pirates and their territory, knowledge that he had spent over 20 years accumulating. And that is how he ultimately triumphed in what became known as the Payback War. After this, Blackbeard was officially recognized as one of the 4 Emperors of the Sea. Blackbeard became a Yonko. The Blackbeard Pirates also expanded from a crew to a fleet, with Blackbeard himself becoming their admiral. And other pirate crews have been absorbed into the Blackbeard Pirates, including, for example, the Peachbeard Pirates. Blackbeard appears to be trying to convince former Admiral Aokiji to join his fleet. And we know that the Blackbeard fleet is now actively hunting down people with powerful devil fruits in order to steal their devil fruit abilities. In fact, in chapter 925, we learned that the Blackbeard Pirates killed Absalom, stole his Clear fruit, and gave it to Shiryu. When Gecko Moria went looking for Absalom on Hachinosu Island, the headquarters of the Blackbeard Pirates, he was informed of Absalom's death, and he witnessed firsthand that Shiryu of the Rain now possesses the Clear fruit. Blackbeard then told Moria that he might as well join the Blackbeard fleet because a big showdown for the throne is coming. The Blackbeard Pirates would go on to attack the headquarters of the Revolutionary Army on the island of Baltigo. The island itself was destroyed, but the Revolutionary Army was able to escape. Once Cypher Pole arrived at the scene, the Blackbeard Pirates engaged in a brief clash with them before departing. We don't know why exactly Blackbeard was so interested in attacking the revolutionaries, but I'm sure that it's part of his wider master plan that has been in the works since he first joined the Whitebeard Pirates. It's possible that Blackbeard was after some powerful devil fruits possessed by the members of the revolutionaries, or he might have been after something else, like an ancient weapon. In chapter 956, so one chapter before we learn about the God Valley incident, we see Blackbeard ordering his crew to pack their bags because he intends to claim a certain prize before the Marines have a chance to take it. We can't be sure what exactly this mysterious prize is, but with the recent reveal that Pluton is actually in Wano, I expect that Blackbeard's next big mission will be explained very soon. He is certainly after something big, and this new mission may even be connected to the reason why he attacked the revolutionaries. I can't wait to get more information on Blackbeard's current whereabouts and plans. It should go without saying that Blackbeard is physically overpowered. He is easily one of the strongest men alive, and even his fellow Yonko Shanks believes that Blackbeard is the single greatest threat to the world. Blackbeard possesses practically superhuman physical strength and endurance. He has two of the strongest devil fruits in the history of the world. He has the power to steal the devil fruits of other people, and he is the commander of one of the strongest fleets that includes some of the most dangerous criminals and warriors in existence. The Blackbeard pirates are a global superpower, and the fact that they are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve their goals without regard to law or morality makes them all the more dangerous. And since we still don't actually know how Blackbeard was able to use two devil fruits at the same time, we can't know for sure that he can't use even more. He may even be trying to pull off a devil fruit trifecta by consuming the strongest Logia, Paramecia, and Zone devil fruits. He arguably already has the strongest Logia and Paramecia, so the only one left is a Zone. And that could mean that he is coming after Luffy's newly revealed Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. And you know what this means, right? It means that we might be closer to an epic clash between the Straw Hats and the Blackbeard pirates than we realize. And since Shanks and Blackbeard have such a long and complex relationship, it is almost certain that any arc that would involve Luffy fighting Blackbeard would also involve Shanks and the red-haired pirates. Personally, I've been waiting for the Luffy and Shanks versus Blackbeard showdown for a very long time. So I honestly can't wait to see what Oda has in store for us in terms of their final character arcs. So yeah, I think we all recognize that Blackbeard is one of the strongest characters in the world of One Piece, and that his fleet is now one of the strongest powers in the world. But I'm here to tell you that in spite of his tremendous physical strength, and despite the fact that he possesses two of the world's strongest devil fruits, Blackbeard's true strength comes from his cunning, manipulative, and Machiavellian mind, and from his relentless determination to succeed at all costs. Just like Luffy is propelled forward by the force of his dream of becoming the Pirate King, Blackbeard is driven by his dream of becoming not only the Pirate King, but also the undisputed king of the world. I believe that Blackbeard isn't just interested in becoming the Pirate King, the strongest pirate and the freest man on the seas. I believe that Blackbeard is attempting to carry out the will of Rox D. Zebek, who wanted to overthrow the Celestial Dragons and become the king of the world. After all, Blackbeard chose to make his pirate headquarters on Hachinosu Island, the very island where the Rocks pirates were formed. And he chose to name his own flagship the Saber of Zebek. Clearly Blackbeard is deliberately following in Zebek's footsteps. But why? What is his connection to Zebek, and what is his ultimate master plan? Rox D. Zebek was an extremely strong and ambitious pirate who was very interested in the secret history of the world. He was also arguably the greatest rival that Roger ever had. He was determined to get his hands on forbidden knowledge, and he openly declared war on the world government, vowing to overthrow the current system and become king of the world. More than 40 years ago, he gathered his crew on the island of Hachinosu, a crew which consisted of a young Kaido, Whitebeard, Big Mom, Shiki, and Captain John, among others. And then, 38 years ago, he launched an attack on a mysterious island called God Valley. According to Sengoku, multiple celestial dragons were present on God Valley at the time of the attack. It is possible that these were high-ranking world nobles, maybe even the Gorosei, because in order to defeat Zebek and protect the Celestial Dragons, the world government did something that was unthinkable and unprecedented. They teamed up with the future Pirate King, Goldie Roger, in order to defeat Zebek and his crew. Garp and Roger actually worked together to bring Zebek down, and it was during this battle that Garp earned the title Hero of the Marines. After what must have been one of the greatest battles in the history of One Piece, Zebek was allegedly killed and the Rocks pirates were dissolved. The truth about the entire incident was then censored by the world government, and the island of God Valley itself vanished from the face of the earth. But even though everyone except a few select individuals from the older generations seems to have forgotten about Xebec, Blackbeard has not forgotten. He hasn't forgotten Xebec, despite the fact that he would have been only 2 years old when Xebec apparently died. And he seems to be on a mission to pick up where Xebec left off. Did Blackbeard somehow learn about Xebec and decide that he agreed with Xebec's life philosophy? Or is there a more personal connection between the two of them? For example, is Blackbeard actually Xebec's son who became an orphan after Xebec's death and who then decided to dedicate his life to getting revenge for his father? There is also the theory that Xebec was the previous owner of the Yami Yami no Mi, and so when Blackbeard consumed the fruit, he also inherited the will of Xebec. Whatever the connection between Blackbeard and Xebec may be, there definitely is a connection, and I'm convinced that, just like Xebec, Blackbeard wouldn't be content with becoming the Pirate King. No, Blackbeard wants to be king of the world. Blackbeard wants to sit on the empty throne, and that means that he not only poses a threat to Luffy, Shanks, and the heroes of the story, but also to Imu-sama, the Gorosei, and the other celestial dragons. I honestly tend to agree with Shanks' take on Blackbeard. I do believe that Blackbeard is the most dangerous pirate, and the single biggest threat to the world. He's been a man on a mission since early childhood. He joined the Whitebeard Pirates for a very specific purpose, and he then spent over 20 years patiently waiting until the time came for his purpose to be fulfilled. And when that time did come, Blackbeard was willing to do whatever it took to take what he wanted. He was willing to cross any and all lines, including the murder of a comrade, and he did it without hesitation. Afterwards, he fled the Whitebeard Pirates and started his own crew, and his scheming only intensified from there. He spent a long time plotting to become a warlord, and once he finally attained that position, he used it to break into Impel Down and launch the next phase of his plan. Immediately afterwards, he took advantage of an opportune time to launch a sudden attack on Whitebeard, killing him and stealing his devil fruit. This was followed by a strategic retreat, and then a year-long conflict ensued with the remnants of the Whitebeard Pirates. Blackbeard used his extensive knowledge of the Whitebeard pirate crew and their territory to defeat them and take their territory for himself, becoming a Yonko in the process. I mean, this man's entire life has been dedicated to one big master plan that is only now beginning to finally reveal itself. And he is of course still plotting and scheming, attacking the revolutionaries one day, then fighting the world government the next. All the while he is stealing powerful devil fruits and distributing them among the members of his own fleet. And unlike Luffy, Shanks, Garp, Dragon, and the other heroic characters of our story, there is no line that Blackbeard wouldn't be willing to cross in order to achieve his ultimate goal. He is prepared to lie, cheat, steal, and kill in order to get his way. He is prepared to flee without any regards to honor when the opportunity requires it, and he is also prepared to sneak up on a target and plunge a dagger in their back without a second thought. His powerful fleet and incredible devil fruit powers aside, Blackbeard's superb scheming and strategizing and his complete lack of moral or ethical boundaries make him a gigantic threat to someone like Luffy. Someone who likes to rush in without a plan, and someone who definitely would not be willing to cross the same moral lines that Blackbeard is prepared to cross. This is why Blackbeard is way stronger and way more dangerous than most people realize. It's not just about his stunning physical power. It's also about his cunning Machiavellian mind and his superhuman dedication to finishing what Xebec started. I wouldn't be surprised if instead of Imu-sama and the world government, the final villain of One Piece turns out to be none other than Blackbeard himself. And honestly, I would be all for it since Blackbeard is the most fascinating villain in One Piece, at least in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think. Do you like Blackbeard as a character? And do you think that he will be the final villain in the story? How much of a threat do you think that he poses to Luffy, Shanks, and the other heroes? And could Blackbeard succeed where Xebec failed? Also, what is his connection to Xebec? Don't forget to share your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this extensive Blackbeard video and you want to see more One Piece content on the channel, leave a quick like to let me know. It really helps me with that YouTube algorithm. And of course, if you want to see more videos in the future, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. Thanks again to Mech Arena for sponsoring this video. Check them out, link in the description. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.